Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'akol niyeh b'dvaro. When the Torah tells us to do something, it's called a mitzvah. I have mentioned it on other occasions. We know exactly what it means. You know, the Torah says, don't murder. We understand very well what that means. Don't extinguish somebody else's life. What about if somebody comes and wants to kill you? What should you do? Should you let yourself be killed? I don't know about that. In Jewish tradition, no. In Jewish tradition, if somebody is going to try to kill you, he's coming running after you with a knife, and he already maybe even hurt you a little bit, and he's trying to kill you. What you have to do is make it impossible to do it. If necessary, kill the aggressor. In other words, if somebody's going to take your life, his life doesn't come before your life. Your life comes before your own. How do we know that? Well, our rabbis explained the Torah. You know, the Torah tells you an eye for an eye. Do we actually do that, an eye for an eye? No. The Talmud comes and says, you know what you have to do? You have to compensate the person for the loss of the eye. You know, from now on, he won't be able to do things that he was able to do beforehand. How do you evaluate that? That's a very big problem. In ancient times, they used to do that with slaves that were blind and those that were not blind. Today, I really don't know how you would evaluate that, but it's a question of compensation, because what benefit do you get if you take somebody else's eye out? So why does the Torah say an eye for an eye? If our rabbis say what it really means is to compensate somebody for the eye, maybe it's trying to tell you this is a very serious thing. It isn't just giving somebody a slap in his face. You're hurting him forever. He won't have his eyesight. That is terrible. So maybe the real punishment would be an eye for an eye, but it cannot be done. So in the Talmud, there are different opinions about many things. So how do we conduct ourselves? Well, the Talmud has its rules, and it tells you that if the majority says something and the minority says something else, you follow the majority. And if this rabbi says something and another rabbi says something, many a time there's a rule which rabbi you prefer. Question. The Torah tells you the law is like this. Why doesn't the Talmud do the same thing? Say simply, the majority say, compensation of an eye for an eye. Why do we have the minority opinion? Why? Well, our rabbis felt that the opinion of the minority also has its reason. We have to act a certain way. We have to do things. In the last analysis, we have to come to a conclusion. But that doesn't mean that those that had a different opinion had no reason at all. They have a lot of reason. And many a time, you know, under certain circumstances, we follow that opinion. You know, you cannot erase a human opinion. What the Talmud is telling you is that human reasoning is valuable, especially when it's done with the right intention. On the other hand, sometimes we find that in social issues, in politics, for instance, we have the majority rules, but we also know that you can suffer under the tyranny of a majority. Sometimes the majority makes a mistake. Maybe in religious issues, in rituals, we have a certain norm. You follow the majority. But when it comes to social issues, I think we have to be very careful and never eliminate the opinion of a minority, because it is based on certain reasoning that under certain circumstances may be very valid. I think only authoritarian societies eliminate all dissension. There's one line to follow, this is what we do, and that's it. But in a democracy, in a complex society, we allow different opinions to flourish. Of course, sometimes it leads us to indecision. But on the other hand, many a time it leads us to correct decisions, especially when human rights are being violated. So don't erase the opinion of minorities, and don't succumb to the tyranny of majorities.